All right, guys, we are live in my kitchen this week. I'm here with Todd. I call him TODD. He's a member of our nutrition group, but also a member of the Invictus Gym. So I know Todd pretty well. We have some great nutrition talks throughout our mornings. So he's here to share some of his knowledge and trials and errors and triumphs and tribulations with us today as we cook our Paleo-Zone meal today. So we are going to follow the zone blocks. Todd's going to be fixing himself a 5-block meal. I'm going to be fixing myself a 3-block lunch. So you'll be able to see the difference in kind of the portion sizes visually, how it lays out on the plate. And we'll talk about some little things along the way to get us going and get some fresh ideas. So Todd will actually share a goodie box that he brought with us in just a minute. But we're going to get started with the first recipe because we do need to cook it. Normally it would be cooked in the oven. But it is San Diego summer, even though it's only about like 75 today. It's cool. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. Last week it was in the mid 90s. It was pretty nasty out. But I kind of have a rule that I don't like to turn on the oven in the summer. I agree. And I usually try not to use the stove too much. We're going to use it today, but it's a really quick recipe. And actually the recipe that we're doing on the stove today could also be done on the grill. So if you were really trying to not heat up the house, or maybe even if you were camping, these are both recipes that you could make at those events. So that's kind of cool too. So we'll start with the first one, which is we're going to make some stuffed vegetables. And we're going to stuff our vegetables with ground meat today. I actually was just shopping. I was telling Todd this morning, we saw each other at the gym. And I was like, Todd, I don't even know what we're making yet. He's like, oh, I can bring all this stuff over. So that actually is going to turn into a really cool segment. But meanwhile, I was like running around because how I shop is just based on what's on sale and what looks good at the time. I'm not someone who plans out my whole menu for the week and then writes out the list and goes shopping. I go to the store a couple times a week. There's a store 2 blocks from my house. One of our gyms has a Sprouts location in the same parking lot. The other gym has an Albertsons, which is another chain store 2 blocks down the street. So I'm always right by a store, and I kind of shop at convenience. I do. How do you usually go about it?
I do. I try farmers markets if I can, but I like the Sprouts next to the Point Loma gym, and also I'm a big Trader Joe's fan.
Yeah. So he'll show you some of his Trader Joe's time savers, I guess you could call them here in just a minute. So. All right, so I totally started rambling, got off topic. All right, so my point was I already had some ground beef in my fridge that I just got the other day. And I actually really I think I've shared this brand with you guys before. It's Open Nature. It's just the Safeway Vons store brand, but it's their organic, hormone-free, grass-fed version of ground beef. And they also do the lamb, and I got this in the 50% off bin today. So it was like, that's one of my little tricks is to always check that little manager's special bin. I get stuff in there all the time, and it's always just like, there's always lamb in there. I guess people don't like lamb. I like lamb. Do you like lamb?
I do. I like lamb.
So I always find good deals in there, and I just always go for the grass-fed stuff. But this Open Nature brand, they have it for all kinds of products. I think the tomato paste that I have for the other recipe is Open Nature. So it's like their store brand of organic, hormone-free, humanely raised products. So it's a little bit cheaper, and it's nice to see that it's more readily available now. So that's what we're going to start. That's what's going to be the base of our stuffing. So we can decide if we're going to keep them separate or if we want to mix the two here in a minute. And then otherwise, the other decision to be made, we'll each make 2 servings for ourselves. So I'm going to make 2 3-block servings. Todd's going to make 2 5-block servings. And we're going to decide if we want to stuff them in something like an eggplant here, like a half of an eggplant or a half of a bell pepper. And that's basically all I have. I was looking for portobello mushrooms too, but I wasn't happy with any of them because the lips were all flat and broken. Like it wouldn't have held the stuffing in.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're going to go 2 and 2 on this. So what we need to do is get this, get it looking like this so that we can actually stuff it. Do you want to attempt it?
Yes, I will.
So I just used a spoon and I held it, a fancy camera setting, I held it upright like that and just started kind of scraping down. There's some seeds in there. They don't quite go all the way up, but the goal is just to leave like, a half of an inch around so that all the way through so that when it does start heating up, it doesn't just fall apart.
Just trying to keep that edge there.
Yeah, try to keep the edge and try not to scoop it out too deep. But okay. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Definitely get all the seeds out. And the seed part kind of comes out little bit easier. It's the part that doesn't have the seeds that takes a little bit more concentrated effort there. So that's what he's going to do. And then I'm actually going to have him do this other one too. So we're just going to cut it lengthwise and repeat the process there. And while he's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and open up the packages, and I'll appear down here now. Hope everyone appreciates our fancy camera setup.
Yeah.
So should we mix them or keep them separate?
I'm fine with mixing them.
Yeah, let's mix.
I actually think it makes the flavors. You know, if you just get used to one kind of flavor like ground beef, it's nice to mix it up. I'll mix turkey and ground beef sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're not a huge like lamb flavor, you're just starting to get adventurous, it's a good gateway into that experimentation, because the lamb does have a little bit more of a pungent, gamey, stronger flavor, I guess you could say. So by mixing the two, you know, we're kind of cutting that in half so that you can experiment with it a little bit, but you don't have to go all in if you're not ready. Todd, tell us something about yourself.
I was born and raised in San Diego, and I know it's kind of a rarity now. And I am a fireman for the city of San Diego, and I've done that since I was a young little puppy, and now I'm a old pup. So looking at ending a 30-year career in 5 years.
Wow.
So married for the last 26 years. I have a 20-year-old daughter in college who plays volleyball up near Stanford in the Bay Area.
Cool.
So
that's awesome.
That's me in a nutshell.
And so you go up there.
I go up there,
to watch her play, and
I do. It's super fun. Or I can live stream. College is nice. You can live stream.
Oh, cool.
She'll be playing tomorrow at home, so they live stream it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a nice thing. And then they actually travel down to Southern California to play schools down here. So I actually get to drive up to the Orange County area and watch her play. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's
that's
super
awesome.
fun. Yeah.
So Todd had the day off work today, so that's how he got to come to join me. So I'm excited to have you here.
Are these clean enough?
Yeah, those are awesome. So don't worry, guys. We won't throw this away either. This is the part he scooped out. We can actually use that in the other dish we're making, so we'll save that aside. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But there's nothing wrong with the seeds in the eggplant. Yeah. It'll actually kind of help maybe thicken the dish a little bit. I think we're going to do some stewed vegetables along with this. All right, so we have our 2 pounds of meat in here. And I did a little bit of prep before Todd got here. I cooked 1 onion, all right? So we got a cup of onion here. So we are eating all paleo ingredients, but with Zone, we're measuring everything. And so really we should be keeping tabs on this cup of onion.
Right.
Now this is gonna be spread over 4 servings. So, I mean, it's gonna be a minuscule amount, but if this, you know, that could add up, like if there was a quarter of a cup, or quarter of a block in this serving, and then an extra quarter of a block we didn't count somewhere else, like just be mindful of are the things you're putting in there. How do you keep track of all that?
Well, yeah, kind of the same way. I like the flavor of shallots and onions and garlic, and I mix them when I make my meats, and I just kind of realize that that's going to be a carbohydrate, and that so maybe and the carbohydrates are the hardest thing to actually get the blocks in, especially if you're doing vegetables. So it usually works out for me. So maybe it's cheating a little, but it's good.
So you're already struggling. Because Todd's eating 5 block meals, that's a lot of carbs. There's a lot of vegetables to cram in, and so he's banking on the fact that there's some extra veggies in his meats and stuff that that he can count towards maybe not quite fulfilling the entire block portion. What do you think about the block count on this?
So I guess you would have to look at, if you're really going to do it by the book, which is what you should be doing if you're zoning. You would look at what an eggplant is as far as a block, and then since we took the center of the eggplant out, we would then maybe consider it less than one. I don't know if say this is, I'm not sure what an eggplant is. I'm gonna think that this is one block, one eggplant. So we took out most of the core of the eggplant. So it's probably not gonna be a full block, if that makes sense. What do you think?
Yeah, see, I would kind of try to do some visual thing too, either that way or like, all right, like, could I fit this whole thing in this cup? Probably not quite, but pretty close.
Right.
And so maybe try to measure it a little bit like that. Again, like, I don't know, with measuring calories and anything, you're never going to be completely exact, even if you're weighing it, because unless you're putting it into one of those machines that like actually figures out that piece, then you're guessing a little bit. So you just have to kind of figure out a way that you're okay with.
Right, and I haven't been zoning for a long time. It's kind of an experiment for me. So I really measure everything, but after a while, you've measured something enough, you have that muscle memory.
Yeah.
You know what a cup of a particular thing is, or you know how much a tablespoon of avocado looks like, and so you kind of just do that. But right now, I'm actually still measuring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I just put some fresh oregano in there. I love fresh herbs, and I was at the store, and I was like, all right, this is a great way to just kind of spruce this up a little bit, because we're going to keep it really simple. We're just going to do the meat. There's the onion and some garlic that was cooked in with the onion, fresh oregano. We're just going to go some salt and pepper, and then we're going to stuff it in the eggplant. So
and this smells fantastic.
That's the oregano.
That's amazing.
Are your hands clean enough to mix this?
Yes. Let me just make sure.
If you guys weren't watching, he totally wouldn't have washed his hands.
I would have. That's not true. But maybe.
I want to put a little bit more of this in there. Cool. So he's going to start mixing. I'm going to throw in salt and pepper. Do you like spicy or not?
I love spicy.
So I'm also going to throw in some red pepper flakes, which is kind of like my go-to thing. So if you don't want to keep fresh, I'm going to be smart and put it in the lid. I almost just went for it, but that's a recipe for disaster. Just going to put some of that in there to give it a little kick.
Just a pinch.
Just a pinch. And then what we'll do, okay, so here's where you could even get more confusing if you want.
Right.
All right, so we know we have 32 ounces of ground beef because we had 2 1-pound packages. And normally, like most meats, like chicken breast or steak or whatever, that would mean we had 32 blocks of meat, right? Protein, because it'd be 1 ounce per block. However, because it's ground meat, it's 1.5 ounces as a block. So we have to divide that by 1.5. So we have 24 blocks.
24 blocks.
24 blocks of protein. Okay. So that's just so you know how much you have there. Another little tidbit that helps is ground meat typically will lose about a quarter of its weight during cooking, so 25% of its weight. I know I want to end up with a 3-block portion, which is 4.5 ounces.
Right. So
I would have to take 4.5 ounces times 1.25. That's going to be the pre-cooked weight if I'm trying to be really exact, because then that weight's going to cook off, and then I'm going to have the 4.5 ounces to remain.
That makes sense.
So you need 6.25 ounces. Do you want to talk about your scale that you like to use, actually, since we're weighing?
So I love that scale, actually. I just have one that I had at home.
Yeah.
For me.
So he's talking about this scale. I got this at a garage sale. It's just a postal scale. And I actually have an electronic scale, too. I usually use the postal scale, and the reason why is because this electronic scale only measures at the 1, 2, 3. I can't get like half grams or whatever ounces. And here you can see how far in between the two you are. So instead of just guessing like, oh, am I closer to 3 or 4? because that could make a difference if you're just barely
Right.
under or over versus this where you have a better visual. And then he has a third version here.
This is just Target. They had a bunch of different scales at Target, and I chose this one because it had a flat surface. So if I was measuring at work, say deli turkey or something, I could just put it on there. Or if I wanted to measure something that was, say, in a container, I could weigh the container, and then I could put the container on top of it.
Yeah.
And that's why I chose this one.
This one you can actually zero out too.
Oh,
You have
okay.
a container on it, and both of these you can do that. Yeah.
And this actually has a lot of different, I think you can do grams and all that. I just always keep it at ounces.
So a lot of recipes now, I'll notice, are measuring like spices and grams and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why you might, if you're not a drug dealer, you might need to use the gram setting for that reason.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's probably all you need.
So, all right. So let's demo how to weigh it out then.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about zeroing out the scale and everything, because right now this is set on 0. So he's not going to put the raw meat right on top of here. We're going to need to put it on top of something before we put it into the eggplant. So I'm just going to use a Tupperware lid.
And are we looking for your pre-cooked one, which is how many ounces?
So what's 4.5 times 1.25?
Oh, boy. Can I get my phone?
Yeah, I'll give you mine because I have clean hands. So I put the lid on here, and then that bumped it up a couple of ounces. And there's a little knob on the back. I can twist it to zero it out. So it's starting at 0 with the lid on it. And I'm going to find my calculator while Todd weighs. It's ready to weigh there. So we're taking, I want a 4.5 ounce serving to finish.
Right.
And I need to add 25% to that. So times 1.25. So I need a 5.625. We'll go 5.5, and I'll be satisfied with that.
I think this is going to weigh about 6 ounces. So let's see.
Oh man, we're at 8.
Wow. That's how you can cheat. That looks like 6 ounces.
So see why it's important to measure, guys? Where are we now?
Eyes are so bad, Michelle. We're so.
Todd can't see it. We're
I'm
at
old
6.
and I have old
We're
eyes.
just under 6.
And you need 5.
5.6. I think that's 5.6. All right, so
Perfect.
that's going to go. Do you want to grab one of the zucchini and just
Yeah.
stuff it in there since you have the dirty hands? He's just going to spread it out, and then he'll hold it up and show you guys. So this is our ground meat, onion, garlic that had already been cooked. You could put it in there raw if you want, but it'll be a little bit more pungent. We use some fresh oregano. You could use whatever fresh or dried herb you want. Oregano, basil, thyme. You could do rosemary in there. Since it's lamb, you could even throw some mint in there. Would be really nice.
Yeah.
And that might not even be bad with the ground beef. So we'll just do this with the other ones here. Do you want to make a pepper one too, or?
We can, yeah. I'll cut that in half and do that if you want.
Let's do it. All right. So we're going to continue with that. And then as soon as we finish, I'm going to run this out to the grill. We're going to use it like an oven today. And I already have started it up, so it's going to be nice and hot. And then I'll have it on about like a medium to medium high heat. And we're just going to use it, like I said, like an oven. So, sorry, I was watching Todd to make sure he was doing this right. So Todd's taking the center out of the pepper. We'll make one like this for him. Since he's having a 5-block portion, I think he can probably fill up that pepper there with his 6 point.
Did I do it right?
I don't know if I did the math right. But my sink is kind of crazy. It's weird.
Did I do that right?
Yeah. So this, you can either get one. Actually, you can get 1 or 2 stuffed peppers out of this, depending on how you attack it. And the way he did it, when we finish, we can put a cute little hat on the top. So if you had a barbecue and you had people over, you could actually top them, and it would be like a cute hat. Otherwise, you could cut it. You could leave the stem on and cut it lengthwise, and they would lay on their sides.
Oh, okay.
So there's 2 different ways to do it. Both are
I
cool.
did that because when we've stuffed peppers before.
Yeah. Did you do the hat before?
Yeah. No, but I like that. I want the hat today.
Okay, so here's where the math comes in. So Todd wants a 5-block portion. So 5 times 1.5 is 7.5. And then we need to add 25% to that for the cooking weight. So times 1.25, 9.375.
Okay, that was 8 ounces.
Yeah,
so I'm
so
gonna
let's
make
see
it
if
just
we
a
can
little
nail
bit
it
bigger.
this time. Can you see it? Oh man, I think you're right on.
Okay.
We're gonna call it right on. Now stuff that in the pepper there. Yeah,
And that's a lot of food.
that's a lot right there.
Yeah.
And you're getting like a block in of carbs for that pepper. Look at that. That's gonna be awesome. All right, so we're gonna quickly finish these up and put them on our pan here so we can get them out.
Do you want me to weigh these? Or?
Oh, let's not weigh the last one. We'll keep the ones we weighed separate, but we're gonna eyeball the others based on that. And then I'm gonna take the stuff out to the grill. Like I said, I'm gonna use that as the oven. I have, we have a sheet pan which will be displayed here in just a minute once we get all these stuffed. And I'm just gonna, it's just a pan I don't mind throwing on the fire. And honestly, it doesn't really damage the aluminum pans.
Yeah.
I wouldn't dare like stick my super nice pans that I use inside, but I have some kind of crummier ones that have, you know, as long as it's all metal, you can totally use it on the grill. Do you cook stuff out on the grill a lot?
I do. I like to grill. You know, when you're in San Diego and it's hot, I think grilling's good. So I'm a big griller. Yeah. I grill vegetables, slice them in half, grill them.
What are your favorite vegetables to grill?
Zucchini, yellow squash, red and orange and yellow bell peppers. I like to cut sweet onions in half, grill those. And I've even made grilled Caesar salad.
Oh yeah, tell them. So I made that before and I love it. So tell them a little bit about.
So you basically you kind of take your romaine hearts is the easiest way. That way you don't have all the leafy stuff on the outside. And you wash it really good. You want to make sure it's washed. And then you're grilling up all your veggies and everything, and you want to have kind of a warm salad with that. I'll just you just take it on and just put it right on the grill. You got to watch it. Okay.
Yeah, it's only a minute or two.
It gets a little charred on the outside.
That's the good part.
Yeah, that's the really good part. And then it's really nice with some fresh cucumber, avocado on top. Yeah. Yeah. And whatever you dressing is.
So I usually dress it with, like, I'll just go olive oil, maybe some lemon juice, and some just shredded Parmesan, just like a touch of that. Yeah,
that's good. I do that kind of with a little balsamic. I really like balsamic.
Balsamic's good, yeah.
So, and you just kind of drizzle that over the top. I like cucumbers. I like the freshness of the cucumber with it. And Roma tomatoes. You can slice those. You can even cook those.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
on the grill and put them on it. So the cucumbers don't grill too well.
No, have you tried it?
No, but I shouldn't say that because I haven't tried it.
I grilled watermelon before.
Have you?
Yeah, and that actually turns out quite nice. All right, so I'm gonna you can wash your hands, and I'll just chat with them really quick, and then when you finish washing your hands, you can start showing all the goodies that you brought. Oh, someone's hungry. You guys haven't met Alice yet, I guess. Probably heard her in the back. Have you ever heard her in the background?
I don't think I ever have.
Yeah, no. she's made voice appearances before, but the little cat thinks she's hungry. All right, so Todd brought some stuff because he was worried that I had said that I didn't know what we were making.
And I usually try to shop on Sundays, like we've talked about in the program. It works for me. My schedule isn't always where I'm off on Sundays. And Sunday I was kind of busy, so I shopped yesterday, which for Trader Joe's in Point Loma is better because the church parking's really bad on Sunday. Yeah. Anyway, so I did my shopping, and I'll food prep tonight for work, which starts tomorrow, and I do 24-hour shifts. So I like to take my bag with me. Yeah, so he's going to show you that while I go put this on the grill, just like this on the pan here. And that way you guys will be entertained, and I'll only be back in a minute so I can ask you some questions. So I just have a cooler bag, and we talk about eating real foods. and things that aren't in packages. But there are things in packages at Trader Joe's that I found are basically real food. It's just packaged. It's already been cleaned. It's already been prepped for you. You pay a little bit more. If you're on a budget, it might not be the easiest. Or if you're on a budget and you don't want to buy bulk food, it might be something better for you. But this is one that I really like. It's a mixture, if you can see that. It's a mixture of kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, green cabbage, and red cabbage. And so I'll use this. I'll take it to work with me, and I'll use this. That's about 2 cups, which will make a 2 block. And then I'll have, my protein with that, and then usually if I want to make it more than 2 blocks, I can add cucumbers. I can add some more chopped up broccoli, some tomato. Yeah, some more tomato, maybe some bell peppers, whatever veggies you want to put with this. You make this the base of it, and then I usually make my own salad dressing, and I'll show you what I use for that. And then I like to incorporate fats with good oils like coconut, avocado oil.
Got me a present.
Yeah, and then I
already poured it into my cabinet.
So this is from Mark Sisson's Primal website, and you can buy avocado oil, I guess, in bulk now at Costco, which I haven't
Costco's
done.
Really
been
up in their game.
But I was buying that at their website, and I really like it. It doesn't burn when you're cooking. I like this a lot. This is organic baby greens. Again, I open it up. This is perfect for a meal. So if I want to switch up my salads, and then I buy, so I don't have to clean and wash, I buy the organic broccoli, and it's all measured out. And then you can also buy at Trader Joe's. I bought all this yesterday. We already took a few out because we're going to use them, but it's organic zucchini. And what else do I have? I forgot to bring my yellow squash, but I also get that. And then I like the size of these. But when they talk, did I do that right? When they talk about blocks, they talk about a 9-inch cucumber, which is your normal one that you find in the Vons and all that. But so you can just take 2 of these and make it into one. So I like to put sliced up cucumber, or if I'm having tuna, I use the cucumber as a way to dish the tuna. So rather than have tuna on crackers or tuna on bread, I'll slice up the cucumbers, and so I'll make that part of my carbohydrates, and then I'll use the tuna. The tuna I buy, these come in 5-ounce cans at Trader Joe's, and then you get I
get the Polar brand, which I get this at Smart & Final. These are the 2 brands that we found that are tuna. And just that.
It even says like real hooked. It's caught real hooked. This is 5 ounces, which is like a perfect 4 or 5 block meal size. Yeah. So doesn't seem like a lot of protein, but that's what you need in protein. So you're not overeating the protein, because we overeat protein. So it's easy to do.
What would you have done before? 2 of them?
Yeah, I would have put 2. I would have put 2 into a thing. I would have mixed in a little mayo, and I'd probably put in. I like to make what at work we call it veggie tuna. So we'll chop up broccoli, cucumbers, carrots, apples. You could
toss all this in there. That would be really good.
And you just make a big tuna salad. And it's easy. And then I have my apples, avocados, shallots, garlic. I just carry a whole bag of it. Because I like to use the shallots and the fresh garlic as a way of making it flavorful. And I'm big on avocado as my fat, because I love avocado, because I was raised in San Diego. And also I think it's a great healthy fat. You just have to look at the oils that you're putting along in there. I always have some limes with me, because we talked about squeezing lime over it as a salad dressing. So, and then the other thing that I brought today is, as an example, is you can get this wild caught. You want to look for wild caught. That way it's not farm raised. You're not getting all the sludge off the bottom of the
and
things.
whatever else. It's just weird that they have these fish hatcheries with like just fish just like all swimming on top of each other.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
And this is mahi-mahi, which is a good white
This
fish.
is a really great tip.
And then this is prepackaged, right, like this. And we went ahead and got the scale and we put it on the scale, and frozen in this package it weighed 5 ounces. So for a 5-block meal, this is a perfect.
So that's like buying pre-made. What I do when I buy stuff on sale and put it in the Ziploc bag in the serving size portion that I want, that's already done for you. So you buy a whole bag of those. Yeah, there's like 10 of these in the bag, so you already have all your portions.
And this bag is about $15, so you're paying $1.50.
Yeah, it's a great
that's
deal.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah,
for,
super.
You can't get that in a restaurant, right? And then another thing that Costco, because they are stepping up their game, has is they have organic chicken. I used to have to go get it at Trader Joe's, and it was kind of pricey. And this is one of 3. There's a 3. They have a little zipper thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so in each one of these, this is frozen, but each one has 2 breasts. And each one of those breasts is probably about 7-8 ounces. So one breast is actually can make 2 4-block meals.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Okay. And then this, I carry this with me.
I'm going to go sneak and check on this.
Okay.
You're doing a great job.
This is just going to our nutrition program and talking about good fats. This is coconut oil. These 3 I bought at the Thrive Market, which is an online market. They'll ship it to your house. And they're flavored. So one's just regular, one's got garlic, and one has lemon in it. So I'll have those next to my stove. So when I'm cooking, I can just take a tablespoon and I can pour that tablespoon of if I'm cooking and I want that garlic flavor, or if I'm cooking and I want that. And then another option would be to use this. I also have this next to my stove, which is just a good natural brand of coconut oil. And so if you're cooking and you're using a lot, this might be more expensive. But if you're just using a little bit, it's good to flavor it. And then another fat that I use in my cooking, and I get this at Sprouts. There's all sorts of brands of ghee, but if you want to cut the dairy out and still have the butter and the good fat of the butter, is ghee, and it's not really that expensive.
No, you can actually you can get almost everything on Amazon now too. Right, so if your local store doesn't carry specialty products like this, you should be able to hop right on Amazon and have it shipped to your door. And
then if you're using butter, this is the butter I use. You can get it unsalted as well. And the nice thing here is on the back side, it has measurements. Yeah, and so you can take a knife and you can actually
slice it off. Yeah.
And anyone who does bulletproof coffees, they use that. And put that in there. And then I don't eat mayonnaise anymore since I started this nutrition program, and I found this mayonnaise, which is on Mark Sisson's
show them the ingredients.
Mark's Daily Apple. He has a Primal store, and you can get it. And you can also now get this on Amazon, and you can get this also at the Thrive Market. And the Thrive Market's out of the Bay Area, and they actually give you a discount on things. So I actually paid less for this. And then didn't they send you like little treats? Is that why we got the avocado oil? That's why we got the avocado oil. Yes. Actually, that was on Syson's site. That's how I got this, though. Okay. Syson's site, I bought some stuff, and so he's talking about Mark's Daily Apple. Mark's Daily Apple, Mark Sison. And so then another thing is, and I haven't tried these, and we talked about it, and they're very expensive. This is Julian Bakery. They're about $1 a piece, but this is a way of making, if you like to make wraps, this is a way of making a wrap. So if you like to wrap your veggies and all that up in something, this is called a paleo wrap. Tell them how you use it. So at work, a lot of times they'll make wraps where they cut up a bunch of different veggies, and they'll have, maybe it might be turkey or some sort of like meat. They cook up chicken, and then they buy those wraps at the store that say wraps, you know, veggie wraps, spinach wraps. But really, all they are is a glorified flavored tortilla,
Yeah.
which is made with white bleach flour. So this is made with coconut. That's pretty much all it is. What I know about them is, you can open them up if you want.
Yeah,
what I know about them is they're thinner, so they're not going to hold as much as a tortilla. So you're not going to be able to make a carne asada burrito out of them. But if you want to make, you know, like a spring roll or something like that, I think they're pretty good.
Yeah. So as far as like processed foods go, this is about as clean as you get. Coconut meat, coconut water, unrefined virgin coconut oil. So that's what's in it. That's it. There's nothing else in there.
So I was buying some other stuff off that site, Julian Bakery. And so I thought I've had them before, someone had them, and I thought I'd try it so that I have an alternative at work if someone's making something. You can always also just as easily use butterleaf lettuce that comes in the full size and use that as a wrap, or you can use some romaine lettuce and cut the bottom off and use that as a wrap. So I was telling them, other than this, I use romaine lettuce or butterleaf lettuce, and it acts as a wrap.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So just as good, and it's actually from the earth. Something that somebody had at work at Julian Bakery, and I decided to try it, is a paleo bread. I'm trying really to stay away from breads, but every now and then it's nice. Maybe if you make some eggs and you can spread avocado on it. So if you're zoning, you can, one slice of this will be a block, and then you can take your avocado and spread that on there instead of butter or something like that, and then you can put some egg on there as well. And
avocado toast is like all the rage now.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
right?
So we've been doing it here for years.
Yeah.
Is it actually on restaurant menus now? I'm like, wait, what?
And so Michelle looked at this, and I think it went ahead and passed your.
Yeah, I mean, again, it is processed food, so it doesn't.
It's baked.
But if you're looking for like kind of like a special treat, or having the bread in there every once in a while, like I wouldn't make it a regular thing. I wouldn't just make sandwiches every day for lunch on this. But if you want to like feel good about having an alternative, you know, on occasion, a couple times a week, then especially if you're eating, you know, if you're trying to eat 5 block meals and stuff too. So there is a difference. Like I would really have no need to add something like that into mine, but I'm not trying to eat as large of portions, and you're going to see the difference because we're doing like an all veggie portion, the amount of vegetables and just the pure volume alone that a 5 block meal is. Right.
I agree. And I just don't buy bread anymore, so I don't have it in the house, but I thought I'd buy this. It's very dense. This is heavy. And so I think it would fill you up, and it's also, you have to freeze it right away, which tells you that it's going to go bad. So they actually put a little label on it that said freeze right away.
I could see making like a croque monsieur with this, like the French toast with the fried egg in there.
I love that.
And then you could actually, like some butter on that, like you could make a whole zone meal out of.
You could.
Something like that. It would be like a Sunday treat, a brunch day or something.
And in Zone, like if you read the Zone book, which I did, they talk about favorable carbohydrates and unfavorable carbohydrates. And obviously bread is looked at as an unfavorable carb, but they do have it, and they tell you how to zone it. So if you're trying to get something a little more favorable, that would be it. Another thing that I have just on the go, I like to make my own dressing. But this is also off Mark Sisson's site, and this is a Greek dressing. He has a few different, it's made with avocado oil. They already put the herbs and everything in there. So if you're not a person who likes to make your own dressings and you like to dress your salads, this might be an option.
Yeah. I think did I show you guys, this one's my sister had sent that time. I actually used one of them that has like cilantro or whatever. And there's just like an olive oil from Key West, and it has, they just used key lime, like the oil from the skin, and then a bunch of herbs and stuff in there. And it's just all mixed up. It's great for a marinade, for a salad dressing. So you can buy some good stuff, but be sure you read the labels, because a lot of times it'll say olive oil on the front, but then if you read the label, it's actually like canola oil or something else. Yeah,
that's one of the big scams right now, is they're making these olive oil blends, and all you really see is olive oil.
Yeah, because that's what's on the label. That's the market.
And then I also carry my own because I am trying to be accurate with my zoning. I carry my own measuring. I have my measuring cups. There's not everything you put on the scale, and then I also have the smaller versions. So if I'm measuring avocado or something, and that's my little bag of tricks.
It's awesome. What's your favorite thing in there to utilize?
Right now, I really like avocado oil.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about one of the webinars. We talked about burn
temperatures. The smoke points.
And smoke points, and I always used olive oil, which I love the flavor of olive oil, but you don't want olive oil in all of your. It's not the right flavor.
Well, plus you also want to mix up your sources, right? You want a variety of different kinds of fats.
And so I've really kind of switched over to avocado oil and coconut oil. Mm-hmm. And I use coconut oil a lot.
Yeah.
I'll even put the MCT oil in my coffee, and I know coffee's not good. Something when I try the Whole30, I'm going to have to get away from. Mm-hmm. But I just like incorporating that oil into my diet.
Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to make 2 vegetable side dishes now to go with our stuffed eggplant and peppers, which already have some, they have the onions in there, and then they also have either the pepper or the eggplant. So we're already getting like a block of carbs over there. So for me, all I would really need is this next dish. I'm just going to try to eat a larger number of blocks, 5 blocks, and keep it all like the favorable carbs. So I got taught at present, not substituting in something on the unfavorable list like a sweet potato, and this is one of those purple ones. It's actually purple inside.
Yes.
He's going to take it home if he gets a hankering for some starch. But so Todd's going to make himself a 2-block salad to go along with his meal. Okay, so I could also have a salad too, but then I would just cut back on my other carbs. However, I won't need the salad with the blocks that are in the stuffed eggplant and the blocks that I'm going to have alongside. I'm going to pretty easily be able to do 3 blocks for variety purpose and something maybe a little bit lighter because we're making stewed vegetables. He's going to make himself a quick 2-block salad. So I'm going to have him do that in just a second. I do want to show you what we're doing here with the stewed vegetables. This was the eggplant. This was the center of the eggplant that Todd scooped out, and I just kind of chopped it up into chunks. We have 3 zucchini here. I did just a slice. And then otherwise over here, we're just going to use our pan. And should we use one of the flavored oils?
Sure.
Yeah. Do you want to put a splash of that in there? So he's going to put some maybe the garlic one then, I guess. That'd probably make the most sense. So he's going to put the garlic, coconut oil in there, and then we're just going to start cooking all the veggies. So the ones I already showed you, we have some mushrooms. We have, like I said, I already did some prep. Whoa! I chopped up some onions, and then we also have some okra. So we're just gonna get that all started in the pan here.
Do you think that we're gonna need for how much you have? Half a tablespoon?
I'd say a tablespoon.
Yeah. So that's a tablespoon right there. And so to be accurate, so we know how much fat we actually put in there, we take our bottle and then we just put it.
Whereas when you guys have seen me cook normally, right, I'm just like throwing stuff in. I'm like, here we go.
Right.
This you really do need to pay attention.
Yeah, I do that as well because you can usually see what a tablespoon is. And
that coats the pan pretty good, and that's really all we need because we're going to throw the onions and garlic in first. We just don't want them to stick and burn to the pan. So I'm going to get that started over here, and that's what I'll be doing is just getting everything into the pan, and then it's just going to simmer. I'll tell you. So first I'm going to put in all the vegetables, and then I'll let them cook a couple minutes, and then when I add the tomato sauce, I'll let you guys know at that point, and that's when we'll kind of just start to simmer everything for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. We'll do it by how it looks, but I'll send you guys the recipe. We'll give you the exact cooking times when it's time. And then, so I'm going to get this out of the way because Todd needs a clean cutting board. And he's going to make himself a nice 2-block salad to go with his lunch. Just have him make it in that bowl there. Will it fit in there? No, it's not going to.
Well,
isn't it? Well, because you won't use all that. Right?
No, I'm going to use 2 cups is 1 block. So I'm going to use 2 cups of this.
And then all my knives.
And then I'm going to use cucumber. So a 9-inch cucumber will do 1 block. So I'm going to take 2 of these smaller ones because I like the freshness of the cucumber. And then so that would be another block. And then I'm going to use some blueberries over that too to sweeten it up.
The blueberries are a nice touch in the salad.
Yeah. And so.
You guys ever had okra? Todd, have you had okra before?
No, you said this today,
and
I have never had
okra?
No.
Okay, so I grew up in Kansas, and my mom always grew okra. I remember she had some when the last webinar. I don't think we had some inside. We had tomatoes and stuff, but my grandpa always grew okra. I love it. It's a summer vegetable, and my grandma would always pickle some for the winter time. It is a very mild flavor. It does have seeds on the inside that you eat, so it's a pod of seeds, and it is slimy on the inside. So the key to it is to not break the pod during the cooking, only when you're eating it, like when you're biting into it. Otherwise, your whole dish gets slimy, but it's all right when you bite into it. It's not like a gross, weird slimy unless it coats everything. So if you have to take any of the stem off, which we didn't because these are smaller ones and they cut them pretty well. But sometimes the bigger ones, this is pretty tough. You need to kind of cut the top off. You don't want to cut below this line, basically, because then you're into the pod, and then that's when it's going to get slimy. So okra is what's used in gumbo, and they do actually slice it in the gumbo, but they want that. It's a thickener, so it will thicken the dish, but that's what they're looking for in the gumbo. They're looking for that consistency. And actually, kind of just to mention that, we're making this as a side dish today. It's stewed vegetables with a tomato sauce, so it's going to look like a gumbo. We're using it as a side dish to our stuffed eggplant, but you could use it as a main dish. It could be a gumbo. You could add shrimp to it. Yeah. You could add some ground meat to it, chicken, whatever you like. You just top off the whole dish. So I'll let Todd take it back here.
So I just chop this up in little quarters. Another way, depending on what your presentation is, you could just slice it like that, however you want it. And then, so this is 2 cups of that mixed kale, broccoli, cabbage salad. And then we'll make the other, so that's 1 block. And then we'll put the cucumber in, which would be another block. That'll be a 2 block salad. And then I was thinking we really don't need the blueberries because we made the salad just a 2 blocks
already.
Yeah, so we won't do the blueberries, though I really like the blueberries. The
blueberries are like apples or any kind of fruit, really. It's a really good little trick to add a couple blocks with not a lot of volume, because like a 1/4 cup of blueberries, right? Or a half of an apple.
Half of an apple.
So you could, if you needed to add blocks without the volume, like if you just could not physically eat any more broccoli, then you might throw a half an apple in there to make up that missing block.
Right, and then we want to also, so if we're having, technically if you're having 2 blocks, so we're including this in our 5-block meal as part of our carbs, so you don't have to, but anytime you have 2 blocks of a carb, you have to have 2 blocks of a fat and 2 blocks of a protein as well.
Yeah, match it all up. So it's not throughout the day it all adds up. It's each time you eat, that balance needs to be in effect.
Yeah, you mix all that together. And then you look at your own macronutrients on the levels there.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so
tell us what you're gonna do about like adding the fats, because we have added a little bit of fat to our vegetables, but the majority of the fat for this meal is gonna come with the salad.
Right. So we can we'll make a quick little salad dressing, which will add fat in it. So I'll use the avocado oil with a little balsamic vinaigrette and maybe some herbs. Or I could, if we wanted to, I could just use that Greek salad that's already made.
Let's show them that. Just for so we have less cleanup. And okay, so everything is done out there except for the pepper because it was a bigger blob and it was all stuck together. It wasn't like spread out. So I'm gonna just transfer that to this cake pan. And I'm gonna bring the rest of the stuff in and I'll show you how I know it's done. And Todd, in the meanwhile, will talk to you about this dressing.
So this is, it's a mix of herbs and, but the main part of it is avocado oil. So a tablespoon of the avocado oil would be considered 1 block of fat, and then a tablespoon of avocado would be the other block of the fat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a tablespoon of this salad dressing on my salad, dress it up, and then I'm going to cut about cut an avocado in half, and usually about 1/3 of that is equal to a tablespoon. So you can either measure that out by actually taking the tablespoon, or if you've eyed it out and you want presentation, then you can just slice that up, and that way you don't have mush inside your salad. So that's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to slice that up.
Could have said anything just now. I would have. So yeah, just dump white sugar on it, and
no, I was telling them how a tablespoon in zoning, a tablespoon of avocado would be equal to a fat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to use a tablespoon of this, a tablespoon of avocado. But because I don't want my avocado mush, I'm not going to actually scoop it out.
Mm-hmm.
I know that about 1/3 of a half of a good size avocado is a tablespoon. Perfect. I've done it enough times, and I want it to be nice.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So I want to mush my salad.
All right, so we'll move over to this area for a minute, and I'll show you what I just pulled off the grill, which was our stuffed eggplant. And then this is the one here that we measured for my 3-block meal, and these are all about 3 to 4 blocks. We had a little bit left over, so I just made a cute little patty. That could be a little snack. That's probably about a 2-block snack right there. We can measure it just to see. But the way that I knew it was done is look how it's pulling away. Look, first of all, there's juice all over the pan, right? And then it's pulling away from the edges here. So it's basically like a hamburger is just sitting down inside there versus before, remember, it was like smeared in and everything was stuck to the edges. So now I know that that is finished. Cool. And that's how I'll judge the bell pepper too. So the bell pepper is a little bit, couple more minutes, I'd say, because it's about that tall, remember, and there's like a big ball of meat in there versus it being all spread out. So we'll take a few more minutes. The way I did this on the grill, though, just so you guys know, I started it, and I noticed that the bottom was cooking a little too fast, so I turned the grill down to about medium for medium high, and then I just gently put a piece of foil over the top to create more of an oven effect so that the heat rising would then bounce down onto the foil and start cooking through the top down too, because it was only cooking up through the bottom. So over here I've got our veggies going. I'm going to flip you around there. And I'm just trying to get them to cook down a little bit. I have the eggplant, onion, garlic, zucchini, mushroom, and okra. And I just have a little bit of color on there now. Remember, we put a tablespoon of oil in there. Some of it's sticking to the pan, which is not a problem. So we're about to put in some tomato juice and sauce. That'll help out. And I got some more fresh herbs. I got some thyme also. I like to use thyme in a dish like this because I can just pick the stem out in a minute. So I'm not even going to worry about like taking it off the stem. I'm just going to throw a couple sprigs in there. And then at the end, I'm just going to pull the stem out. All the little leaves have fallen off, so I don't have to worry about dealing with that. That alone
I wish
smells
you could
so
smell
good.
this right now.
It's so simple, but it's just like, even, we haven't mixed it around yet. Just the garlic and onion mixed with like this hitting the heat is fantastic. And then to kind of get it stewing, I just have diced tomatoes and tomato juice. And this came from like the Palmy box. But I noticed that my organics brand, because I got the tomato paste from them, they have the BPA-free can liner. So you can find that. Okay, so we used 3 cups of the tomato stuff so far. And this is, you can hear it sizzling when the juice hits the bottom of the pan. I'm going to utilize that to help get the bits that were kind of stuck on there so they don't continue to burn down there. That's.
You want me to stir while you talk?
Tasty goodness. Could you just, actually, I'll get it.
You want to fold it?
I'm just going to fold it a little bit. I'm just trying to get it coated to see if I need to add more. So we were talking about like ways to measure like a family style meal like this. We're going to put it in the whole 4 cups. Because we're just going to be scooping out a serving or 2 for ourselves, right? So see how quickly it's almost cooked already. This is really like a quick stewing method that usually stewing takes all day. This is basically like a ratatouille.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you could do it with any vegetables and herb combination that you like.
And when you look at that, you really don't need pasta. So
look at yeah.
Yeah, typically at a restaurant they'd have penne or some sort of, but there it is right there in your veggies. So
basically, I'm just looking for the veggies to be cooked through. So I want the zucchini to all look like that. So I'm just gonna. It'll just be like another minute or 2. We don't want to overcook them, and especially if you know you're meal prepping, you're gonna be reheating this. Sometimes I'll cook it a little bit less than if I'm not gonna eat it right now. Like when we're gonna sit down and eat, then I would probably stop it right there, and that way when I reheat it, it's not all mush.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. What do you think?
It smells delicious.
Yeah.
And the eggplant with the lamb and beef.
Yeah.
I'm glad
so
we mixed them. So that's
I was actually thinking about for my serving, like I'll probably end up just putting this over the top. Like I'll set it out so you guys can see what it looks like. But when I eat it, I'm gonna be mixing the 2 together. Yeah. They go really well together. But you can see how you could just throw some shrimp or chicken, or we have our little mini patty there. We could break up and put in there. What else would you? Oh, I've done like a fried eggs over the top of something like that before for a breakfast.
Even a fish, salmon, a good fish.
Oh yeah.
The white fish I had. If we're talking about zone, as long as those blocks of protein are there to be mixed with this, all of those sound good to me. So
I'm going ahead and turned off the stove, and so we're going to talk about how you would measure something like this. And I think there's a couple different ways to go about it, and maybe we found a cool website to use too.
Right.
But you actually have to have the recipe, right, for that. You would put it in.
Right.
Okay, so we have 3 methods, right? One is that most cooked vegetables have about the same blocks, right?
Yes.
So it's like a cup per block, basically, right?
Pretty much.
So if I know I wanted a 3 block or 2 block portion of vegetables from this, because I'm getting another block from my eggplant, I would just scoop 2 cups out, and I would count that as 2 blocks, and I would add that eggplant for the 3rd block. That's one way to go about it. It's not exact. If you want to get more exact, you could, in your head, if you like, because we don't have a recipe written out, we kept track of everything that we put in there, and you divide it into however many portions and figure out how many blocks is in that portion.
Right. So we could take this entire dish and say, how many portions is this? Let's say it's 10 portions. I'm not sure. Probably more than that, though.
Yeah.
Right?
So we could even just add up all the blocks in it and then say like, okay, there's 30 blocks here. Let's make 6 5-block portions, and then we would just divide it like that.
And that's when you would, if you were food prepping, you would then take your Tupperware, your glass Tupperware, and then you would just measure that and put it in there.
Just divide it equally amongst that Tupperware.
And depending, you could even put your protein to the side of it in the same one.
Yeah.
And then you have a ready to eat meal.
Yeah.
And then if you knew you were going to do a salad on the side, you could just make that at the time you eat.
Tell them about your 3rd option that you have discovered, the website.
Oh, so it's the CrossFit Journal, and Nuno actually showed it to me because I read the Zone books. I actually ordered the Zone books, but the Zone isn't necessarily paleo. So the CrossFit Journal has a page on there that talks about Zone blocking and talks about your body size, what your activity level is. So if you're an athletic male, you're probably going to need 19, 20 plus blocks. If you're a guy like me who's a little bit older and is looking for maintaining and maybe even losing some weight, and I'm working out once a day, I work out once a day, not 3 times a day like some of the athletes, then I'm looking more at somewhere between 17. They call it a medium-sized male. I'm 6'1", so I'm not really a medium-sized male, but I go on the medium-sized male. So then you look at those blocks, how many blocks you need for the day. So say for me, we said 17. So that would be 3 5-block regular meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then 2 1-block snacks. Or if you're like me, where you don't get up and eat a 5-block meal, because I don't, I typically go and do a workout, then you can have, like this morning I had a 2-block, I had an apple, 2 hard-boiled eggs, and 12 almonds. So that was my pre-workout 2-block, so that I had some energy, some food in me to sustain the workout. And then you can get out of your, do a post-workout of 3, and there's your 1 5-block. Kind of line there. So you can move that around a little. But the nice thing about that site versus the book is it's just all laid out for you. And it has your favorable carbs, your unfavorable carbs. It doesn't really have unfavorable fats because they don't even want you to look at them, right? So you can just move, you can take that and take those measurements and work with it. I actually have it on my phone. We looked it up right before we did this, just to see what a cucumber was, so I could remember.
Cool. So those are some of our methods. Todd's gigantic stuffed bell pepper is almost finished out there. I actually turned off the heat because it was making a lot of noise, and it's just sitting in there under the foil for a minute. So I'm going to start to dish up my portion so that you guys can see what a 3-block meal might look like. And then in the meantime, Todd's just kind of finishing the touches on his salad there, and we'll be able to show you what his 5-block meal will look like right next to it. So I'm going to use my method, like I said, where I'm going to measure 2 cups of my vegetables here. It's actually going to be quite a lot of vegetables. So you'll see why Todd maybe wishes he made a 3-block salad. You might have those blueberries after all. All right, so all I'm missing is some fat. Is this
yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that's that would be the other side of it.
Yeah.
So that would be 2 blocks right there.
Okay, so and then we have some in the Cool. So I could still add a little bit more fat if I wanted. So this is my 3-block meal here. I'd probably add a little bit more fat, so I would get another sliver of avocado, or maybe have a couple shredded coconut bites, or maybe sprinkle a couple of 3 olives on top of this. Like black olives or green olives would actually be really good on that. So I'm counting this as a block of carbs. I've got another 2 blocks of carbs here to make my 3. I've got my 3 blocks of protein in here, and I've got about 2 blocks of fat, so I just need to add a little bit more fat to that. And this is my 3-block lunch. All right, so Todd is finishing his salad here, and then I'll let him decide based on what my 2 blocks of stewed vegetables looks like, if he must have those blueberries or not.
So I went ahead and took the kale, broccoli, cabbage salad. I added cucumber to it, and I added avocado and 1 tablespoon of the Greek salad. So I had 2 blocks, the avocado and this make my fat, and then I have the 2 blocks of the other 2 blocks right there, and then my protein will be over here. So, okay. Is that mine? I apologize for my phone ring. I should have turned it off. So.
Okay, so so he's got his finished product there, and then you still need to add your. So
then I would add, because we're making this a 5-block meal, then I would add.
You either need to add blueberries to your salad, or so if he adds two more blocks. Are you counting this one already? So 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
So you need to add 2 more blocks. So you just need to add 2 scoops
two scoops of that. Or if I decided I didn't want that, which I do, because that's a nice veggie.
Yeah.
I could also add some fruit onto my salad.
So he could do 1 scoop of that and a quarter cup of blueberries on his salad.
Yeah, but
so let's go ahead and scoop that up so they can see what it looks like, and then we'll put the 2 portions right next to each other, just so you can get a picture of like what I'm eating a cucumber right now, what my meal would look like right next to Todd's for people our size. And I counted myself, like right now, I count myself as somewhere between a medium and a female. I weigh 155 pounds, right around that. And I do work out every day or 6 days a week, but I don't like work out crazy hard.
So I could either keep this in the bowl, or if you want to just see how it plates, I'll just put it right onto here so we can see that. And you can see how much carbohydrate that is when you don't use any starchy, unfavorable carbs. It's a lot of food. It's actually hard to eat that much food.
So I'll hold my plate, you hold yours. You'll see the difference there, which is visually mostly it looks like the carbohydrates, right?
Right.
I mean, because yes, I mean he does have a bigger chunk of meat than me, but like that's a lot right there to ingest. So
yeah, it is, and this is really going to fill you up. All those leafy greens and the vegetables, and your bell pepper is a vegetable.
Yeah.
So so
a lot of color there too.
Yeah, a lot of color.
Variety.
And that really, when we talk about our anytime plate, right, where we don't that's it right there.
Yeah.
It's just a bigger portion if we're zoning.
Yeah.
And so if that seemed like a lot of food for me, then I might reduce it to more Michelle's size, and then a little bit later I would have a 2-block snack.
A 2-block snack. So yeah, you don't have, if that's a lot for you to eat in one sitting and you're prescribed to be eating that much, you can break it up. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to divide your meals like Todd divides his meals. So your 19 blocks or your 14 blocks or whatever you're on, you can break that up however you want. You can have 14 1-block meals if you want. You could have,
you can.
Like you could do what Todd does, with the 5-block meals. And sometimes he does that just because of his schedule at the firehouse. You never know when you're going to eat again.
Right.
So you better get something in, right?
I have to say that that it's harder for me to do a 5-block meal. Even it looks like I should be able to eat that, but that is a lot of food when you start making it all with those leafy greens and the vegetables and everything.
Yeah.
So you're full after that. So if you ate a 5-block lunch, that size lunch, you're really not going to snack during the day like some people do.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of the theory behind that is that people just eat 3 meals and they're full.
Yeah.
So yeah, depending on what you're doing. So take stuff on the go if you need. Apples, almonds, hard-boiled eggs are really easy to carry, and you can combine those into your blocks. I do that a lot. So
yeah, cool.
Very easy to carry.
I'm ready to eat this.
I know.
I'm starving.
It smells delicious. I wish you could smell this. And
we'll post it.
And it looks beautiful too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Last glimpse there of our lunch. Thanks for coming over, Todd, and sharing all your kind of ins and outs. Todd's been kind of practicing this on himself and experimenting with just some of the different ways of eating that we've talked about so far, and trying to find his formula. And we've also talked about that. Like, there's no one right way for all people, and there's also no one right way for any single person, depending on what's going on in their life or what their goals are. So there are times you might need to change it up. Sometimes you do a little experimentation on yourself. Right. And if you like it, you keep it, or maybe you keep parts of it, and you just begin to figure out your formula, what works for you, what's appropriate for your lifestyle, what's going to keep you happy and balanced and also healthy.
What I found with Zone, although it's not always easy to carry, a scale and measuring cups and all that, is it does afford some accountability. Mm-hmm. So if you're on a program like this, where you're trying to hold yourself accountable, it also allows you to log easier, because you go ahead and make your meal log and you know exactly what you're doing. And then hopefully at some point you've got all that figured out and you can just kind of eye it.
Yeah. So actually that's what I was going to say. That was kind of one of my big takeaways from Zone. And I did the Zone myself for a couple of years. I owned a catering business that started out as a Zone catering business. First of all, I got really good at eyeballing stuff, right? So you get I could slice off 4 ounces of any meat and lay it on the scale, and that's going to be accurate. Like I don't need to weigh and measure things anymore to know that the blocks are lining up. But also, I totally forgot my other point. Todd.
Sorry.
Oh, something that I learned from the zone. Oh, just the visual on the plate. So whether or not you stick to the zone and it works for you and you want to follow this exactly, this is still what your plate should look like as far as like kind of the visual. It should be mostly vegetables, all right? Your portion of meat should be about your palm size, all right? And so it kind of gives you, it gives you that balance in the ratio in your mind, even if you're not measuring it exactly. It's going to help you get in kind of what people usually neglect, which is all those veggies. So if you can just kind of remember some of the principles that you learn from it, even if you decide that it's not for you. Some people love it and it works really well for them. But that's to be said about anything. I love ketosis, and 75% of the people out there probably would never even consider trying, because it is another one of those where you're
and
having to keep tabs on things.
I think one of the harder things about zone for me, and Nuno and I have talked about this, is the amount of carbohydrate when you don't eat unfavorable starchy carbs, how much you actually have to put on your plate. And I also really like good fats. Like I want to take that whole avocado and put it on there. But if you're zoning, you have to keep that balance. So when you're zoning, you have to keep that balance if you want it to play out right.
You want to get the full effects and really see what it's like to be in that ratio. So, all right, that's it. I don't think I have any cooking demos coming up for a while. I will be showing you guys my garden here, so I need to work on that this weekend because everything is dead. But it's time to start planting again. I have like some 6-year-old kale out there. The plants are this tall now. You get to see those. They look like little palm trees. So I'll see you in some upcoming episodes here pretty soon. I'll be talking about organics and superfoods, and more about like gut health and probiotics and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to really kind of dig into some more fun details coming out.
And I think if you look at this that you saw tonight, and then you look at your gut, that's going to be good for your gut. I think.
I feel. I can tell. All right, guys, that is all for this episode. Bye-bye. Happy eating.